Have you ever been in a conversation where suddenly there is a long silence? Amidst the flurry of words, no one speaks. The atmosphere becomes tense. Some people feel awkward and hurriedly try to fill the void with anything they can say. But there are others who do not act that way. They let the silence happen naturally. And in that moment, all attention is focused on them, and every word they are about to say carries more weight, more value. Silence can make a conversation feel tense, but it can also be a powerful tool to control the situation, build respect, and create deeper connections. However, we spend much of our lives avoiding it. In today's world, silence is often misunderstood as weakness, passivity, or ignorance. Everyone wants to talk, to express themselves, to fill every gap with sound. But because of that, very few people truly know how to use silence properly. Imagine a leader standing in front of hundreds of people, preparing to speak on an important issue. Instead of immediately speaking, he takes a few seconds of silence to scan the room. That moment creates anticipation, focus, and when he begins to speak, every word is listened to in full. Silence does not diminish the power of speech. On the contrary, it enhances the value of what is said afterward. We live in an age where everyone is constantly surrounded by noise. Phones ringing, notifications popping up on screens, endless meetings, and nonstop conversations. When there is silence, we feel uneasy, as if we are missing something. But the truth is, it is in those moments of silence that wisdom is developed, clarity is found, and the best decisions are made. Silence is not empty space, but a space for thought. Many people believe that silence means doing nothing, but in reality, it is one of the most powerful states of mind. When we are silent, our minds have the opportunity to reorganize scattered thoughts, view the issue from a new perspective, and sometimes the most creative solutions appear in the very moments when we stop talking. Think about the important decisions in your life. Have you ever rushed into a decision and then regretted it? Have you ever wished you had paused for a moment to think before acting? Silence provides the space needed to reflect, to listen to both our reasoning and intuition. Successful people are not those who always speak, but those who know when to remain silent. Great leaders, masters of communication, even talented artists and writers all understand the value of silence. They know that sometimes a moment of silence can convey more than 1,000 words. Silence in communication. Listen more, speak less. In any conversation, who has the most power? It is not the person who speaks the most, but the one who controls the dialogue. And ironically, it is the quietest person who is often the best at controlling the conversation. Observe those with great charisma in communication. They never rush to interrupt or try to out-talk others. Instead, they take the time to listen. And when they speak, everyone pays attention. Silence in communication not only helps us understand others better, but it also makes us more trustworthy and influential. When you speak less, every word you say becomes more important. When you know how to listen, others will feel respected and they will be more willing to share. Silence in decision-making. Master the situation rather than being swept away. One of the greatest benefits of silence is that it helps us remain calm in tense situations. When emotions run high, when provoked, or when facing a difficult decision, many people's first reaction is to speak immediately. But those hasty reactions are rarely the best ones. Those who know how to remain silent are those who can control their emotions and the situation. They do not let impulses dictate their actions. They do not let momentary words lead to long-term consequences. They understand that sometimes not reacting immediately is the wisest response. In tense debates, silence can be a powerful tool to regain the initiative. When you don't immediately respond, others will have to adjust the way they speak to you. They will have to think more carefully about what they just said. And this can reduce tension, creating the opportunity for a more effective conversation. Silence is not passive, but active and full of power. Many people fear silence because they think it makes them appear weak or that they don't know what to say. But in reality, the strongest people are those who know how to control their silence. They do not need to prove anything through excessive words. They do not let external noise dictate their thoughts and actions. Silence is a skill. It requires practice and awareness. But when you learn how to use it, you will realize that it gives you a significant advantage in every aspect of life, from work, relationships, to personal growth. This book is not about encouraging you to be silent all the time. It does not say that you should stop communicating or giving up on expressing yourself. Instead, it will help you understand when to remain silent, when to speak, and how to use silence as a powerful tool in life. Silence is not a gap that needs to be filled. It is a space full of strength, where thinking, creativity, understanding, and true power are born. Part 1. Silence, the doorway into the inner self. Have you ever entered a room so quiet that you could hear your own heartbeat? At first, you might feel a bit uncomfortable, even wanting to play some music or find something to do. But if you patiently stay with that silence, you will realize something. There is a world inside you that you had never paid attention to before. We spend most of our lives looking outward, listening to the voices of others, getting caught up in conversations, chasing endless streams of information. But very few people actually take the time to listen to themselves. And because of that, they don't understand themselves, don't know what they truly want, and often feel lost in life. Silence is not merely the absence of sound. It is a doorway opening to the inner world, a place where you can find clarity, peace, and true strength. But to walk through that door, you must learn to accept and master silence. Silence is a space for deep thought. Try to remember the last time you truly sat still and let your mind wander without being interrupted by surrounding noise. If that rarely happens, you're not the only one. Today's society teaches us to always be busy, to constantly do something in order to feel valuable. But it is in stillness that profound thoughts arise. It's when you can connect with what matters most to you. Many great inventions, classic works of art, and world-changing ideas were not born in noise, but in moments of quiet. Scientists, writers, and artists all need space to think and create. They understand that if the mind is constantly filled with noise and distractions, nothing truly important will emerge. Silence helps you recognize what you're thinking. When you sit in silence, you begin to recognize the flow of thoughts within you. You might discover that there are recurring thoughts, invisible worries that you usually don't pay attention to. This is the first step to understanding yourself. Many people feel anxious when facing their own thoughts. They fear silence because it forces them to confront things they have been trying to ignore. But if you don't understand what's happening in your mind, how can you control your life? Successful and insightful people make a habit of spending time in silence to observe their thoughts. They know that if they can't master their minds, they will be swept away by chaotic thoughts and never truly know what they want. Silence is the key to peace. Many people think that peace comes from having everything they want, but in reality, peace comes from within. You may have all the money, fame, and status, but if your mind is constantly disturbed by negative thoughts and emotions, you will never feel happy. Silence helps you break the noise in your mind, bringing you back to a state of balance. When you take time to sit in silence, you'll notice that nothing is as truly worrying as you thought. Problems that once seemed large become smaller when you view them with a calm mind. People who can maintain calm in any situation are those who know how to seek silence to recharge. They don't let external noise affect their minds, and because of that, they always have a strong attraction, a steadiness that others can feel. Silence does not mean loneliness. One of the biggest misconceptions about silence is that it equates to loneliness. But in reality, there are people who are always in the middle of crowds, constantly talking, but still feel lonely. And there are those who, though alone, feel completely fulfilled. The difference lies in whether they can connect with themselves. If you always need noise to feel comfortable, it means you haven't truly learned how to be with yourself. But when you get used to silence, you'll realize that you don't need someone or something to fill the void. You will feel complete even when no one is around. Truly happy people are not those who are always surrounded by others, but those who can enjoy their own quietness. How to accept and enjoy silence. If you're not used to silence, you may feel uncomfortable at first, but like any skill, you can train it. Spend some time each day in silence. You don't need to meditate or do anything special. Just turn off all devices, sit still, and observe your thoughts. Don't rush to fill the silence. When you're having a conversation, don't fear the silent moments. Let them happen naturally. You'll realize that those moments help the conversation become deeper. Listen more, speak less. When you talk less, you'll realize you can learn so much from others, and when you do speak, your words will carry more weight. See silence as an opportunity, not an inconvenience. When you're alone, instead of finding ways to fill the time with your phone or music, see it as an opportunity to connect with yourself. Silence is not a passive state. It is a powerful tool for you to explore yourself, develop intellect, and find true peace. When you learn to harness silence, you'll realize that it's not emptiness, but the place where the most important things in life are born. Part 2. Silence in Communication. The power of the one who knows how to listen. Have you ever found yourself in a situation where someone keeps talking, not giving you a chance to interrupt? Did you feel like they were truly listening to you? Or were they just waiting for their turn to speak? In communication, many people believe that speaking a lot equates to intelligence or power. But in reality, the most influential people are not those who speak the most, but those who know when to be silent, when to listen, and when to speak. Silence is not just a part of communication. It is one of the most important tools to help you build relationships, create influence, and become an effective communicator. Silence helps you listen deeply. Most people don't really listen when others speak. They just wait for their turn to respond, or even interrupt to state their own opinion. But if you observe people with strong communication skills, you'll notice that they spend most of their time listening. When you truly listen, you don't just hear the words. You also sense the emotions and thoughts hidden behind what others are sharing. This helps you understand them better, creates a deeper connection, and makes them feel respected. People don't remember you for what you say, but for how you make them feel. And nothing makes others feel more valued than when they know you are truly listening to them. Silence helps you gain respect. When someone speaks too much, they may unintentionally diminish the value of their words. On the other hand, when someone knows when to stay silent, every word they say will carry more weight. Imagine a meeting. If someone keeps speaking without thinking, they can quickly lose the attention of others. But if someone listens quietly, speaks only when necessary, and when they do speak, their words are concise and to the point, they will be listened to seriously. Silence is not shyness or lack of opinion. It is a way for you to think before you speak, ensuring that when you do speak, it is something of value. Wise people don't speak just because they want to. They speak because they have something worth saying. Silence helps you control emotions in a debate. In a debate, what happens if you immediately react emotionally? You might say things you later regret. You could make the situation even more tense. And most importantly, you could lose control of the conversation. Good communicators always use silence as a strategy. They don't rush to respond. They take time to think, observe the other person's reactions, and when they speak, their words are not only precise, but have a stronger impact. When you remain silent in a debate, you not only keep your calm, but you can also reduce tension. Sometimes, just a brief moment of silence is enough for both sides to reconsider and find a more peaceful way to resolve the issue. Silence creates a tension in communication. Silence can be a powerful tool for drawing others' attention. If you are speaking and suddenly stop, people will automatically focus more on you, waiting for the next thing you will say. Good speakers understand this very well. They use silence to create emphasis in their speech. A few seconds of silence before saying something important can make the listeners sense the seriousness and significance of what is about to be said. In daily life, if you know how to use silence effectively, you can make your words carry more weight. When you stop speaking, others will pay more attention to what you are about to say. Silence helps you discover the truth. One interesting thing about silence is that it can cause others to reveal their true thoughts. When you ask a question and remain silent, the other person tends to feel the need to talk more to fill the gap. This is a technique used in interviews, negotiations, and even in interrogations. When you stay silent after asking an important question, the other person may automatically continue speaking, and sometimes they will reveal things they didn't intend to disclose. This can also apply in everyday conversations. If you want to understand someone better, ask a question and then let them speak. Don't rush to interrupt or offer an opinion immediately. Let silence do its job. How to apply silence in communication. Listen actively. When someone is speaking, don't just wait for your turn to speak. Focus on what they are saying, ask questions when necessary, and show them that you are genuinely interested. Think before you speak. Before you say anything, ask yourself, is it really necessary? Does it bring value? Could it hurt anyone? If the answer is no, it might be better to remain silent. Pause before responding. When someone asks you an important question, pause for a moment before answering. This not only gives you time to think, but also lets the other person sense that you are considering your response seriously. Use silence to control emotions. If you feel provoked in a debate, use silence as a way to keep calm. When you don't react immediately, you'll have a clearer mind and avoid impulsive responses. Leverage silence to create influence. When you want to emphasize something, pause before or after speaking. Silence will make your words more powerful and draw others' attention. Communication is not just about speaking, but knowing when to remain silent. When you understand the power of silence, you will not only become a better communicator, but also build deeper and more meaningful relationships in life. Part 3. Silence, the foundation of wisdom and sound decision-making. Have you ever made a hasty decision and then regretted it? Have you ever wished you had taken a little more time to think before acting? In life, we are constantly faced with decisions, from small ones like choosing what to eat for dinner, to more important decisions such as selecting a career, investing money, or resolving conflicts. Often, people tend to act immediately based on emotions or external pressures, rather than taking the time to think things through. But it is in those moments of silence that true wisdom has the chance to emerge, helping us make more informed decisions. Silence helps you think clearer in every situation. In the modern world, everything happens quickly. We are pressured to respond immediately, from answering messages to making decisions at work. But the faster we act, the more likely we are to make mistakes. When you remain silent before an important situation, you give yourself time to observe, consider, and view the issue from different angles. Silence helps you avoid being swept up in temporary emotions, allowing you to assess the situation more objectively. Good leaders never make decisions immediately when faced with a difficult situation. They take the time to listen, analyze, and think before taking action. And this helps them make more accurate decisions, avoiding regrettable mistakes. Silence helps you control emotions before making a decision. Many poor decisions stem from impulsiveness and a lack of emotional control. When angry, you might say things you shouldn't. When overly excited, you might easily agree to a proposal you haven't fully thought through. When anxious, you might react negatively when it isn't necessary. But if you take a moment to be silent before reacting, you'll notice the difference. When you say nothing, your emotions will gradually stabilize. You will see the issue more clearly, and your decision will be more accurate. Silence doesn't mean inaction. It is a way for you to master your emotions before acting. And when you can control your emotions, you can control your life. Silence opens the possibility to see issues from multiple angles. When faced with a problem, most people tend to view it from one perspective, the one they are familiar with or the one their emotions are guiding them toward. But every problem has multiple facets, and if we don't take the time to reflect, we are likely to make the wrong decision. When you remain silent, you have the opportunity to ask important questions. Is this really important? If I make this decision, what will the long-term consequences be? Are there other options I haven't considered? If I weren't emotionally influenced, what would I decide? These questions don't arise if you immediately react. They only come up when you give yourself the space to think. Silence helps you listen to your intuition. In addition to reasoning, humans have another source of power for making decisions: intuition. Intuition is not a fleeting emotion. It is the culmination of experience, knowledge, and information that the mind has gathered, but has not yet fully processed consciously. You may have encountered a situation where you felt something was wrong, even though everything seemed normal on the surface. That is your intuition sending you a signal. But if you're always in a rush or overwhelmed by external noise, you may not hear it. People who are good at making decisions are often the ones who know how to listen to their intuition. They don't just rely on data or advice from others, they also spend time in silence to feel what is the right thing to do. Silence helps you avoid being influenced by external pressure. Society, family, colleagues, all of these can put pressure on your decisions. Sometimes you feel like you must act immediately because you fear being judged by others. But if you always make decisions based on others' expectations, you will never truly live the way you want. Silence helps you detach from external pressures, allowing you to think independently. When you are not swept up in the rush of others, you can ask yourself, is this what I truly want? The strongest people are not those who follow the crowd, but those who have the clarity to stand firm with their decisions, even if they are not popular. How to use silence to make better decisions. Don't react immediately. When someone asks you to make a decision, take a moment to think. If it is an important decision, give yourself a period of silence before responding. Focus on your breath. If you feel tense or confused, stop and take a few deep breaths. This will help you calm down and view the issue more clearly. Ask yourself questions. Before making a decision, ask yourself, if I weren't under pressure from anyone, what would I do? This helps you detach from external influence. Listen to your inner feelings. If you have a strong feeling about a decision, don't ignore it. Take time to listen to your intuition. Observe before acting. When facing a difficult situation, instead of reacting immediately, quietly observe. You'll notice many things you might have missed if you acted hastily. The best decisions are never made in haste. They are born out of clarity, consideration, and especially in moments of silence. When you learn to use silence as a tool, you will not only make better decisions, but also take control of your life. Part 4. Silence and Inner Strength. Transforming stillness into action. Have you ever encountered someone who doesn't need to speak much but still makes others listen? They don't try to show off, don't compete for attention, but when they act, everyone feels their power. This is the power of inner strength, something that doesn't come from loud words or showmanship, but from calmness, self-control, and the ability to act consciously. And the root of that inner strength lies in silence. Silence is not passivity. It is the foundation for powerful action. When you learn to use silence to build inner strength, you will not be swept away by external influences, but instead take charge of your life. Silence is mastering emotions and thoughts. One of the signs of inner strength is the ability to control emotions. Many people immediately react when they encounter an unpleasant situation. They get angry, argue, or rush to make a wrong decision. But those with strong inner strength know that not every situation requires an immediate response. Silence gives you the space to calm your emotions and think more clearly. When you don't rush to respond, you can evaluate the situation more objectively, consider it from multiple angles, and act in the most effective way. Calmness doesn't mean having no emotions. It means not letting your emotions control you. And to achieve that, you need to practice silence, both in thought and action. Silence to build inner strength. Many people think strength comes from speaking a lot, expressing opinions, or proving themselves. But in reality, those who possess true strength don't need to do any of that. They don't seek external recognition because they already have a solid source of strength within. Silence is a way for you to cultivate inner strength. When you are less distracted by external opinions, you have the opportunity to connect with yourself, understand what you want, and act according to your core values. People with strong inner strength typically are not influenced by others' judgments, don't need to prove themselves with words but with actions. Stay calm even in the most difficult situations. Know when to act and when to wait. Silence helps you focus on what matters instead of being swept away by unnecessary things. When you have strong inner strength, you don't need to try to impress others because you've already created influence naturally. Silence does not mean passivity. One of the biggest misconceptions about silence is thinking it equals passivity. But in reality, silence is not about sitting still and doing nothing. It is a state of preparation, a foundation for more conscious and powerful actions. People who act impulsively are more likely to make mistakes. They react without thinking, speak without considering, and act without planning. But those who know how to use silence are different. They take time to observe, understand the situation, and then act decisively and effectively. Silence doesn't mean doing nothing. It means knowing what to do at the right time. Silence is preparation for important actions. Before any significant action, preparation is always more important than the action itself. And the best preparation is not talking about what you are going to do, but spending time in silence to plan, develop yourself, and make sure that when you act, it is the right action. An athlete doesn't win because of their words, but because of hours of silent training. A successful entrepreneur is not successful because they talk about their plans, but because they have been quietly preparing for years. If you want to achieve something great, learn how to remain silent and focus on personal development instead of wasting time on things that don't bring real value. Silence helps you act with more confidence. Those with true confidence don't need to talk too much about what they're going to do. They let their actions speak for them. When you remain silent, you can focus on improving your skills, building a solid foundation. And when you show up, you don't need to prove anything, because what you do already speaks volumes. The best people in any field share one thing in common. They spend most of their time in silence, honing their craft rather than talking too much about what they are going to do. How to use silence to increase your inner strength. Don't react immediately to external pressure. When facing a stressful situation, remain silent and observe instead of reacting right away. Don't share too much about your plans. Focus on doing rather than talking. When you truly succeed, others will recognize it without needing you to explain. Spend time in silence to develop yourself. Learn, practice skills, and increase your knowledge every day. This will help you build a solid foundation for more effective action. Don't let the words of others affect you. When you have strong inner strength, you won't be swayed by negative opinions from outside. Speak only when necessary. When you speak less, each word you say will carry more weight. Silence doesn't make you weaker, it makes you stronger. It is the foundation of calmness, inner strength, and valuable actions. When you learn to use silence consciously, you will not only control your emotions and thoughts, but also act more powerfully and effectively in every aspect of life. Part 5, Living with Silence, the Path to Peace and High Performance. Have you ever felt exhausted from constantly thinking, reacting, and meeting the demands around you? Modern life seems to leave no room for a moment of stillness. If there is no conversation, there are notifications from phones, work emails, or the noisy news from society. But do we really need all of these things? The most successful people are not the busiest. They are the ones who know how to remain still at the right moments, to maintain clarity, balance, and make the right decisions. Silence is not just a communication skill, but also a lifestyle that can help you achieve peace and higher performance in both work and personal life. Silence helps you work more effectively. Many people think that working effectively means staying busy and handling multiple tasks at once. But in reality, the highest productivity comes from deep focus. And to have that focus, you need silence. When you work in a quiet space, undisturbed by unnecessary conversations or surrounding noise, you can complete your tasks more quickly and with better quality. Studies have shown that when someone is interrupted by noise or constant notifications, they take longer to regain focus. The best people in their fields have the habit of spending time in silence to do deep work. They turn off their phones, stay away from social media, and focus solely on the most important task. Thanks to this, they can produce excellent results without working long hours. Silence helps you reduce stress and regenerate energy. Modern life causes many people to constantly be in a state of stress. They feel the pressure to respond immediately, to always be part of conversations, and to keep up with news to avoid missing anything. But this only drains your energy without bringing real value. Silence acts like a reset button for the mind. When you take time in stillness, you allow your brain to rest, reorganize scattered thoughts, and reduce stress. You don't need to go to a faraway place or meditate for hours to enjoy silence. Simply dedicating 10 to 15 minutes a day to sit quietly and do nothing can help you feel lighter and recharge for the challenges ahead. Silence helps you understand yourself better. Many people feel lost in life, unsure of what they truly want. A large part of the reason is because they've never taken time to listen to themselves. When you are constantly surrounded by noise and external influences, you are easily swept away by what others want instead of what you truly want. You might pursue an ill-fitting career, maintain relationships that don't bring value, or live a life that doesn't make you genuinely happy. But if you spend time in silence, you will have the opportunity to ask yourself, what truly matters to me? Am I living for my own goals or just to please others? Am I using my time and energy meaningfully? These questions can help you make wiser choices, allowing your life to become more meaningful rather than simply reacting to what happens around you. Silence does not mean isolation, but balance. Some people fear silence because they associate it with loneliness or isolation from society. But in reality, silence is not isolation. It is a way for you to establish balance between the inner world and the outer world. You don't always have to speak or engage in conversations to maintain relationships. Sometimes silence helps you make deeper connections because when you know how to listen, you understand others better and they feel respected. People with real magnetism are not those who constantly try to attract attention, but those who have peace from within. When you have stillness in your soul, you naturally attract people with the same energy. Conclusion: living with silence. Silence is not a technique or a trick to apply in certain situations. It is an important part of a meaningful life. When you learn how to live with silence, you will realize that you don't need to speak a lot to earn others' respect. You don't need to always be busy to feel valuable. You don't need to constantly respond or demonstrate something. You can choose to remain silent when you need to think. You can choose to remain silent when you need to calm down. And you can choose to remain silent when you realize that not everything requires an immediate response. Living with silence does not mean distancing yourself from the world or ceasing to communicate with others. On the contrary, it helps you communicate better, work more efficiently, and live a life with less stress. When you learn to harness silence, you will find that life becomes clearer, your decisions become wiser, and you feel freer. Because when you are no longer caught up in the noise around you, you can focus on what truly matters: yourself and the values you wish to build in this life.